Hey everybody, I'm Ben Yee, Democratic State Committeeman for the 66th Assembly District and Secretary of the Manhattan Democratic Party.
I'm Melissa Stein. I'm a county committee member of the Assembly District 66 Part A. I'm secretary of that part, and tonight we're doing national and local.
Yes, let's do that.
So now we're going to go local.
Yes, now I have questions for you then.
Okay, I was just at our executive committee meeting of the Village Independent Democrats.
Yes.
My first time on the executive board, so that was pretty exciting.
Kudos.
But,
by the way, congrats on your election.
Thank you. It was contested, it was not a given. I'm very excited to be able to serve. But one of the major topics of conversation was the county committee and the rules committee of the county committee and what's going on.
Tell us about this, please.
So, as we've talked about before, at the September meeting, there was a rules committee presentation. It turns out there was a rules committee of one person who didn't actually read any of the proposed, or he said there was not enough time to address the proposed changes, and so he wanted us to vote on the rules as is. Then there's a major brouhaha, tumultuous screaming, a whole scene, and they decided that they would reconvene county committee in 3 months to vote on new rules that the rules committee that was going to be convened would discuss. So from what I heard tonight from our district leader is that they want an extension.
Yes.
Because the rules committee has not gotten their acts together, or perhaps they have, they've met once, it seems. Who knows how often they were in touch, but they're not ready to present a new set of rules to the county committee to vote on. And that, in fact, somebody who's on the county committee was saying, is this really important? Is this how we want to spend our time? Perhaps in some way sort of saying, do we really need to convene the entire county committee again? It's expensive, it's a lot of work.
It's not that expensive.
It's up to 2,000 people where we're going to meet. So it seemed like it was sort of this way of taking that energy, that passion, that interest, and kind of sweeping it off onto the rug. Like if it doesn't happen, who's going to notice anyway because enough time is passing. So our district leader was very frustrated about this and trying to figure out what to do in terms of garnering support of other district leaders to have some sort of consortium or coalition of people to fight this.
Yes.
But hasn't found that many people willing to work with her against the party leadership. So Keith Wright seems to be not a big fan of reconvening.
Right.
And that the rules are sort of pieced together for a very small bunch of people at the top to maintain control.
Yes.
So even though the county committee has the power to change the rules, if we don't have the power to actually participate in what the rules can be changed to, it's all a moot point. So that's at the point where we're at now. Obviously, there's not going to be a meeting after 3 months. That passed in December.
Yes.
It's now almost the very end of January, no word whatsoever, and there's going to have to be time. You have to let people know, you have to find a place, you have to set a date. So there's just nothing happening, and this very easily could just sort of disappear into the ether and be one of those meetings where you're like, oh, remember that? What happened? And it just dies on the vine.
Well, I suppose a few notes on that in the 2 minutes that we've got left from the point of view of the Secretariat's office.
Right, you have more of an insider view than me.
Yes, but I wouldn't say that my insider view is what I'm going to draw on now. It's going to be my activist nature and my knowledge of the rules and the law, I suppose. Basically, yes, the Rules Committee did ask for a formal extension. In my personal point of view, 3 months was too short of a time to think that we could appoint, ratify, convene a Rules Committee and then have them produce something. My timeline was always, I expected it would be done in something like 6 months. Although with the 3 month window, I now expect it to be in more like the 4.5 month range.
Okay.
Now, it is true that if the Rules Committee just doesn't do anything, or the county committee decides, or the leadership decides, maybe nobody will notice if we don't convene the county committee, this thing could drift off into the night. However, technically, because the county committee voted to reconvene, leadership, that is to say, the executive board or the county leader, cannot unilaterally override the will of the county committee.
Okay.
We have all been allowing this extension to go on, but in theory, if people were paying attention and people did care, you could bring suit against the county committee for violating the will, or you could bring suit against, I guess, the leadership of the county committee for violating the will of the body.
So I also heard in the VID meeting that the Rules Committee voted that there needs to be a 2/3 approval
Yes.
by members of the Rules Committee to share what they're working on with the Greater County Committee. Now, this is what I thought, because I'm a neophyte and I know nothing, but I thought the county committee had to approve the rules. Does the Rules Committee have the authority to make a new rule on how they operate without the county committee
Right. So
full participation?
the subcommittee can set its own rules. However, I believe what they said was a rule for 2/3 for any rule to pass the committee, to go to the county committee. And maybe it was a 2/3 vote to release any information to the county committee beforehand.
That's what I heard.
But they're not going to be,
But that could be an alternative fact. I don't know.
right.
Right.
I hadn't heard about that. I heard about the passing to the county committee. But the rules committee is there to give a report to the county committee. So it's probably about what will make it into that report will require a 2/3 majority in the subcommittee to be, I suppose, recommended in the
Interesting.
report. But it's
So-
not like the county committee won't be allowed to consider something.
Got it. So, but if that's true, I will have to do a little bit more digging on that. All the suggestions that people sent in, I sent a long list of suggested rule changes. If 2/3 of the Rules Committee doesn't approve them, then the entire floor might never hear them.
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure about how this part's gonna go down,
Right.
because it's not super clear. I need to go back through the rules. It's unclear to me right now whether the body may consider things which have not gone through the committee. I don't think so,
Okay.
which was sort of the reason that the county committee meeting went the first time when rules were attempted to be presented from the floor. However, in any given meeting, a 2/3 vote of the whole body can suspend the rules and basically do whatever it wants, except in violation of the charter. So even if it required a rule to be recommended by the rules committee for the county committee to consider it under the normal order, the county committee could vote to basically say, screw that, we want to hear everything, and they could bring that upon
Right,
themselves.
the entire county committee. The challenge, one of the challenges that I have before we wrap up is that it's great that the county committee as a whole has this power, but there's no way to get in touch with other county committee people
Mail.
to sort of mail, but I wouldn't have access to that.
Yes, well that's
You
why.
would as secretary, but suppose one rogue county committee group or member said, you know guys, we want to change this up, we want to make change happen, we want to
Right.
communicate with everyone. There is no way to communicate with everyone unless you sent them all a letter
This is
and had access to everybody's addresses.
partially true, but actually to your district leader's point earlier, you're the secretary of 66A, right? You have access to a list of
To
county
my
members here.
66A, right.
And that is sort of messaged at the discretion of your district leadership, right? So you and the chair and the district leaders. This system exists in all the other areas, and if you remember real politics, the district leaders are really there to manage and corral county committee members and sort of run their part, or participate in running their part with their clubs.
Right.
And so, while it is fragmented, by teaming up with other district leaders and other political clubs, you could create coalitions with a reliable sense that there are county committee members associated with that, and you could pull together
So it'd be like
meetings.
a grassroots activist sort of revolt,
Yes. And
revolution.
I think the most important lesson anybody I can say, which is really real politics, really like real politics 201, is before you go into any meeting, the organizing for that meeting happens before the meeting. You don't want to walk into a meeting where you really care about a vote or an outcome without having whipped all the votes beforehand.
Got it.
And we talk about that in sort of the legislature part of real politics. But if you're in a body like the county committee, or even in a body like your local Democratic club, it's good to have a sense of where people stand and to have had the conversations to convince people and hash things out before you even walk in the room.
Right. That's such smart advice. On that note, we're going to wrap it up for this time.
Yeah, we're way over, I think, but
We
this
are,
is good.
but we'll see you next time.
Laters.